Hello, John Marshall, the Drill Master. I'm here to help you understand low ceilings, low clearance areas when you have a Flagstaff. All right, so this is a 9.5 foot staff. I have a 4x6, or actually it's a 4 foot 4 inch by 5.5 foot flag on it. It's not quite the, let's see. Yes, it's not quite the Oregon flag. It's a little bit cut down because these flags actually used to have a 10-foot fly and used to have 12-foot poles. Somebody made a really bad purchase at an honor guard. So years ago. All right, so you have a flag and you need to get through a doorway, or you need to get through an area where there's chandeliers, or at least a low clearance area. So if you're entering, and I'm going to go with the Marine Corps stance right now. So Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard, you're going to tuck your colors like this. You're not going to throw them. Sorry, that's my habit of ceremonial drill. You're also not going to point your finger as well. So remember, I've got really deeply ingrained habits. So, all right. So there, we're going to make sure that the flag is gathered under the arm, and then you've got that grip. So this is a tension for you. But now, when you start to move out, you can lift the Flagstaff up to what's called trail. This is trail arms for a Flagstaff. So you can then march forward with this at trail. This is fine if the ceiling, if you can't go into the harness, and you're going to wear your harness regardless of whether you put the lower ferrule into the socket or not. It doesn't matter. You need to wear this. This is part of your color bearer's uniform. All right. So, and you're also going to stand with your feet at a 45-degree angle. All right. So, as you march forward, then no arm swing. You're going to be marching like this. Not a problem. Well, what if you come to a doorway? Or what if you start out, say, in a hallway, and you have to immediately go in through a doorway, and then you can either come up to trail, or you can come up to the socket, to what you would call carry. So what happens then? Well, there's a couple of different options. So here we're going to go to, now, I preach the manual all the time, and I will continue to preach the manual. The Marine Corps order doesn't have this. The training circular doesn't have this. The Air Force manual doesn't have this. I get it. This is not regulation drill. However, this is a ceremonial drill technique that can be adopted into or adapted into regulation drill, because sometimes it's necessary. Just like the movements that I constantly go over with the every left on or every left off. Those things aren't covered in the regulation drill manuals either. But we use these techniques so that the American flag can always be on the right or in the lead. So just take this with a grain of salt and use it, because it's a valuable resource. Now I've seen, before I get to this, I've seen this before. And I won't name any names, it doesn't matter, but I've seen this before. I've seen color guards actually do this. This is not acceptable. I don't know what you would do after this. If you would stand in front of the audience, would you have this carried like this, or I really don't know, but I've seen this on a wood staff. Now the metal staffs that are telescopic, yeah, I can understand how you might think it might, well, no, actually I can't think how you might think it might be appropriate. It just isn't. It isn't appropriate at all to gather up the flag material like that. Not appropriate at all. So, all right, I'm off my soapbox. So we're going to go to look up the hashtag angle port, not angel, but angle, A-N-G-L-E-P-O-R-T. It'll be in the text below. So angle port, what we're going to do is go to angle port. the honor guards use this all the time when they have to go through low clearance areas, especially even outside when there's trees. You can use this no problem. All right, so when we're at attention, the command is going to be port arms. Rifles go to port. Now, technically, junior ROTC cadets wouldn't go to port. You don't know how to go to port. Well, this is port for a color. You reach across and you bring the staff up. You keep your right arm is fully extended, bring the staff up. This is port. This is the Air Force version of port, and then everybody else uses this version of port with the two-hand hold. All right, but the Marine Corps, Navy, and Coast Guard usually don't use this, but they can. So if we're going to go, let's say I'm going to march forward here, but off to my left is a doorway, and then off to my left even farther then is the room, the auditorium, where my color guard that I'm on, where we're going to present the colors. So I give port arms and then bearers ready to. Now on bearers ready to, I'm going to bring the flag forward and hold it. Now I'm going to do this on purpose. So here's where I bring the flag forward. All right, now we'll let that fly forward a bit. Okay, so you don't want this to happen as you're marching, but if it does, then it's not a big deal to correct it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your left hand, bring it over your right just under the flag. You're going to bring the staff back, scoop the flag over your left forearm, and then come back to this position. So this is angle port. Now you can come to angle port with a couple of different angles, but the American flag's finial, the finial is the ornament on top. The American flag's finial, which should be the Army spearhead, or if you're Navy or Coast Guard, it can be the battle axe. The finial has to be significantly higher than the rest of the finials. So American flag, you're probably going to march like this. Everybody else, you're going to march like this. All right? So as you're marching through, then you're able to go underneath that door jamb, and then you can come back up to, as you march, as you march through the doorway, the American flag is going to be first, obviously. You're in column formation, so you might want to wait maybe 4 or even 6 steps, especially if you have more than 2 flags behind you. But if you just have the 2, 4 steps is usually good. 4 steps after you go through the doorway, so that both flags can come up. As the American flag comes up on a left step, the flag comes up, all right, and then on the next left step, then the next flag, the departmental flag, comes up. All right, now this is for other services as well. You can do the same thing. Now, with the other services, Marine Corps and Navy and Coast Guard, you're going to always have that flag gathered here under the right arm, always. But for Army and Air Force, we're going to have that silly V grip and then stand there with the flag just doing whatever it's going to do. Inside, it's not a problem. Outside, it's a big problem, or at least it can be. So this is not a very good grip. The Marine Corps calls this a strong grip for a reason, and for a really good reason. So we're going to stand like this, and if you're Army Air Force and you can give bearers ready to from order. So port arms can be given for the guards, and then what you'd give is bearers ready to, and you'd bring the flag staff forward, and see how I just kind of manipulated the flag around my hand so that I'm not grabbing the flag material and the flag staff at the same time. I want to make sure that my spade is flat when it comes forward. Now, there's also the option of crossing over. We don't carry flags like this in color guard. Now, when you go on a unit run, I got it, no problem. However, on color guard, we don't come to port with the flag staff like we come to port with the rifle. This is not acceptable. All right, this is port. This is angle port. And this is a version of angle port. Now, this version means that the individual who's in front of me, let's say I'm the American flag bearer, and the individual who's in front of me is going to be the right rifle guard, the lead rifle guard. So over his or her left shoulder, I'm going to place the flag. Now it's going to be, and I really can't, I don't know if I can simulate it. It's going to, I'm going to hold the, it's going to look kind of like this. So almost resting on the shoulder there, all right? So just like this, almost resting on the shoulder. Now, the reason why is that when you stand, let me turn this way. When you stand with the staff facing straight forward, there is a slight risk that the lower ferrule can come in contact, or the foot or ankle can come in contact with that ferrule that's in front. So as you're marching, having that slight angle right across the individual in front of you can be helpful. So again, with everything else that I've showed you, practice is going to be the key. See what works best for you. But these ceremonial techniques that we use on honor guards all around the world, these can be applied to regulation drill just because there's a necessity for them. It's not. We're not going to get into exhibition drill. That's just fancy stuff that people make up because it's all about them. In the ceremonial drill world, this is stuff that people made up because it was a necessity. We need to keep the American flag in a position of honor. Gee, how are we going to do that? Hey, I've got an idea. What if we, and then it worked. And so it was probably developed, decades ago and honed after a little while, and we've come up with the final theory here. Let's present this to the commander and let's see what goes on. So commander says, yep, you got it. Everything looks okay, and then each of the services then uses it. Why these techniques aren't in the regulation drill manuals, I have no idea. But the regulation drill manuals are mainly for the everyday parades. Well, the parades aren't every day anymore in the military, to be honest. So the military manuals were specifically made for different military ceremonies. And then over time, what we've done is, as having color guards go downtown and go do this and go do that, we've going into ice hockey rinks. You can see all kinds of strangeness happen with those colors presentations. So there's all kinds of calls for color guards all over the place. So we've had to then try and take unique situations and make sure that the American flag is still being taken care of, still being honored. So then these ceremonial techniques that I've written about, go through Instagram, look at all the hashtags that I've done. There's tons and tons of free information there. There's free information on my website. If you want to buy a book or two or 11, I've written all kinds of stuff about this. So there's the you have the ability to follow the regulation drill manual, and then to yeah, I need to skip all that crap. All right. Stop that. Oh boy, I just get off on a tangent.